Hello folks, today I'm going to talk about blinders. Now, I want you to understand something. I believe in freedoms. Totally and completely I believe in freedoms. I believe in fairness. I believe in justice. I even believe in politics, if they would stay in politics. I believe in free entrepreneurialism. And by that I mean completely free. But there's no such thing in today's society. Why? Because we have blinders on. I'm going to ask you a basic question. And this question is this. If I make a product and I want to sell it to somebody in the States, why do I have to pay tariffs? Why do I have to pay taxes? Why do I have to pay all of this extra stuff? When all I want to do is sell a product to the person in the States that wants it. Well, I'll tell you why. Because the government wants its take. Nothing more, nothing less. It's stupid. It's not politics. I mean, politics is supposed to be for the people. When a product is $10 and I got to pay $20 to sell it to somebody in the States, and then I got to pay $50 to ship it there, who's going to buy it? Nobody. It might be an exaggeration of the funds, but at the same token, that's the idea. That's the concept. I mean, if the politicians wanted to be trade negotiators, they should be traders, not politicians. Politicians are supposed to be there to serve the people. How does all of that serve the people? There's all this talk about free trade and NAFTA and all this other stuff, but when it boils down to it, there's no such thing as free trade. Because free trade means I should be able to have this one little item and sell it over there wherever I want to, when I want to. If they want my product, I should be able to sell it. The trade and the negotiation should be between me and them, not between me and their country. Okay? And it's the same if I wanted to work down in the States. I'm a Canadian. I should be able to go down there and work. If an American wants to come up here, Canada, and work, they should be able to come to work. I understand the social ramifications and what ifs and all of this other stuff, but you know what? That shouldn't matter. Why shouldn't it matter? Well, you know what? We take in all kinds of immigrants and we pay all kinds of money for them. Isn't that funny? But we don't look after our own backyard. But you know what? Most Canadians will deal with their own backyard. If they were allowed to. Now, this is all talk about blinders. And that's one blinder. The other is, the world is changing. You got this little girl ripping around all over the place talking about carbon. You know, she's over in Vancouver right now, wondering how to get to Victoria. So I suggested she swim because she wasn't going to take the ferry because carbon. Okay. We have to understand, as a world, it's not just that. Okay? It's everything that we are doing to Mother. Everything from fracking to oil blowouts in the oceans to everything else that's happening around the world. NASA, at one point in time, said, yeah, you know what? There is, the Arctic is melting, the ice is melting. 6 months later, oh no, that's not. We've got all of this data here. That's, you know what? It's all full of shit. When you got polar bears changing back to grizzly bears, when you got the first time in 40 years that there's no ice in places, like, duh, it just takes a rocket scientist to see it. You got migrations changing. You've got animals going into suburbans that never did before. You've got, it's just unbelievable. The ley lines of Earth are changing. The North Pole is closer to Russia now rather than Greenland. So you got to sit there and go, wow, things are changing. Well, what are we looking at, really? We're looking at a culture change worldwide. And we got to realize that. Anybody with blinders on can go home, look at their children, and say, yeah, everything's good. And do nothing. Plop themselves down in front of this here computer, the YouTube, whatever the case may be, and do nothing. Go to bed, wake up, go do the same thing. You have blinders on. If I had children, I couldn't look at them in the face if I wasn't doing something about it. Why? Because what happens if? That's right. Ask yourself if. You may not believe it. You may say, "Oh, you're full of shit like a teddy bear." But when you got to wear a gas mask or a mask, an air mask, to be able to breathe when you're walking outside, you got to cover your mouth or your throat's going to burn. Ask yourself the same question. Perhaps I should have listened. We're in for a culture change. The trees are disappearing faster than we can plant them. It takes 30 to 50 years for that tree you cut down for a new one to even give us the oxygen that old one did. 30 to 50 years. And you're cutting hectares at a time. The people in Canada that say, oh, wow, we got lots of trees here. Why should we worry? Well, we're going to supply the world. And what happens when all those trees are gone down there? They're going to come back up here because, why? Culture didn't change. You see what I mean? We need a culture change. They've already developed hemp. They already realize that it can replace the oxygen in our air 100 times faster than planting trees. It's a great temporal displacement, right? So work with the hemp. That's a culture change. Everything that you can get from wood, you can get from hemp. Everything. Hemp farming should be in place. The lumber industry should switch over to the hemp industry. And cut it, form your wood, do everything else with it, build with it. And it's a better product than wood for building. So, like, what I'm saying is, you've got the technology. You've got technology now that can clean up all our waterways. Why aren't we using it? Politicians aren't dumb. They're smart. They tell you what you want to hear. They figured out what you want to hear. They tell you. But nothing happens. They enjoy the money. Why? They're capitalists. They're major capitalists. They're in league with all of those major corporations. They're only there for 4 years. I mean, I would give my arm and my leg to be able to sit there in the Senate and just bitch slap people and get nothing done. And get paid good money, big money, just to sit there and bitch slap people. The government's supposed to work for the people and get things done. Government has no place in business. They're not supposed to be in business. They're supposed to be there to protect their society, not be in business. Anyhow, blinders, folks. I would feel like an ass if I looked at my little grandson and I wasn't doing nothing for the environment and seeing what's happening. You have to do something. Now, I know a lot of people are doing things. Hats off to you. But for some, they just like those blinders. The culture change that I'm talking about has to happen worldwide. It's not something that can happen in a little community or a little community there or a little community there. I mean, it may start with one individual, but everybody's got to wake up and take the blinders off. Because if you're worried about making money, well, you had the Industrial Revolution. You've had everything else, you know. Things change. Computers came into existence. How many jobs are now computerized, okay? This is something we have to do for Mother Earth. In the early 1900s, Rockefeller discovered that, you know what, I'm a billionaire, and I'm a billionaire because of all the oil, and I can turn around and I can synthesize herbs into a pill using oil. And the big pharma was developed. He squashed all the doctors with herbs, closed colleges down that were delivering knowledge about herbs, switched all the doctors into colleges that know now about pills. They know nothing about herbs. And we wonder why naturopaths and people like herbalists and natural healers have so much trouble in today's society. Well, you're bucking all the big capitalists and the big pharma. It's not easy. But nature is the place to be. And natural is the way to go. You can say things are organic, but you've killed off all of the earth. And you're putting it in with synthesized fertilizer and using things that kill, Roundup, weed killers, all of that kind of stuff. And you don't even know what you're killing. Understand invasive products and weeds and things like that, but you know, there's other ways to control them. Anyhow, blinders, folks, take them off before it's too late. I believe in karma. Do you? Talk to you later.